Okay, so welcome everyone. Welcome to our discussion today, all around balancing work and family, specifically in HR. So we want to help the HR community really look at ways to transform your own productivity and protect your well-being. So just a quick intro from all of us. So first of all, for those of you who don't know me already, I'm Helen Letchfield. I'm the co-founder of P&P Coaching. And for those of you who don't know who we are, we specialise in anything to do with coaching and development, whether you're a parent, whether you're a carer, or whether you're managing a family transition or health transition at work. I'm also, I'm quite concerned with the organisational level of things. So we work closely with leadership teams and HR on trying to create a more family-friendly and flexible working culture. So before I set up P&P 15 years ago, I also worked in HR. So I worked in HR in banking. I had the role of learning and development business partner. So I do understand some of the daily challenges of working in HR. I've also got 2 teenage boys. So obviously work-family balance is massively important to me as well. So that's just a little bit about me. So what I'm going to do is I will let the other panel members introduce themselves first, and then I will just sort of do a little bit of positioning around the session today. So Kiante, you are at the top left of my screen, so why don't we start with you?
All right, good morning. Well, it's morning here at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm over in the States in Maryland. My name is Kiante Wheatley. I am a certified parent coach, instructor, and child life coach. I have a business of Keep It Simple Method Parenting Solutions. I am an engineer manager by trade, and I have 2 daughters. One is 9 and one is 10. So the work-life balance is very important in my life as well. I started Kiss and Parenting because there's a lot of people who are struggling with trying to figure out how to parent and manage the family life, home life, and work all at the same time. Or they really just didn't understand how to parent the way that they wanted to. They were trying to do one thing and they kept doing something else. And so I started my 2 programs. One is focused on parenting and helping the kids understand kind of the challenges you go through, child life development, brain development, understanding your stressors, understanding how to discipline and stuff like that. And then the second program is basically geared on work-life balance, where we go through goals, understanding time management, understanding how to better plan, work through different meal planning ideas and whatever else, budgeting, whatever else that comes up within it, both for 12 weeks. And yeah, I think that's a bit about me.
Thank you, Kiante. Andy.
Hi everyone. My name's Andy Simmons. I am one of the coaches within Parent to Professional. So I work with Helen. And yeah, I also have teenagers. I have a 13-year-old, a 15-year-old, and a 17-year-old. So yeah, we're in the thick of all that, which I'm actually enjoying, which is probably a little bit unusual to say that I'm enjoying the teenage years. But yeah, it's but as I think everyone has mentioned, that work-family balance thing is really relevant, at the moment. So yeah, I actually began my career within kind of large healthcare organizations, and then from then I went on to study psychology, and I did my master's research. I focused my research on family-related career gaps, so parents taking time out of the workplace to have families, coming back, and all of the many kind of impacts of that. So became really passionate about that whole area of work. I do work for kind of just more general corporate coaching for a wide variety of companies, but it is the work that I do with P&P which I find particularly rewarding, supporting these working parents. I'm really passionate about it. I also assess and facilitate the parental transition coaching qualification, which P&P run. Little plug there, but it's great because I really get to equip coaches to help this client group. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. obviously, the coaching that I do, we cover all kinds of topics. I mean, literally from confidence, communication, imposter syndrome, skills development, anything that comes up at work, we address in the coaching space. But I think work-family balance is just one of the really key topics that comes up again and again and again. So I'm really looking forward to this discussion around that this morning. I'm really looking forward to hearing Abigail. So thanks for having me.
Thank you, Andy. Abigail.
I am so excited to be here for this training today. And will I do my introduction when I start the training?
No problem, that's absolutely fine. So obviously what we're going to do today, everyone, just sort of setting the scene, I guess, is first and foremost is just giving you the opportunity to connect with experts in this area. So what we're going to do first of all is Abigail is going to start off by sharing her tips and some techniques, and that will probably take about 20 minutes or so. And then as soon as Abigail is finished, there'll be time for you to connect directly with Abigail. So obviously, asking questions, you can take yourself off video, put yourself on video, take yourself off mute, or feel free to use the chat box as well. And then following that, we'll probably have as much time as you need really to answer any questions that you may have. So what we thought we would do just to get the ball rolling is find out a little bit more about what your challenges are, so that when we run through some of our tips and some of our ideas to help you, we can obviously make sure that we're tailoring it according to what your biggest challenges are. So first of all, using either the chat box or speaking, if you could first of all share, what would you say your biggest workplace challenge is right now? And just while you're thinking about your biggest workplace challenge, perhaps in one or two words or just a sentence, one thing that we were looking at just recently is the recent article on HR Grapevine. We can put the link on the chat later. It was all around HR for HR, so looking out for well-being of people professionals. And they were saying about how the main causes of burnout are around the lack of support that people in HR professions feel, the lack of recognition for the work that they put in, the conflict management side of things at work day to day, and also feeling like they've got no career development prospects. So they were some of the key things that workplace challenges that members of the HR community are facing. So yes, please let us know, what would you say are some of your workplace challenges? Anyone want to share their workplace challenges? Feel free to put on chat box or tell us verbally what those challenges might be.
Hey, I'm happy to be that person.
Thank you.
That's okay. So I think for me, so I've stepped out of the corporate world and into freelance world myself, and having done that, I suppose that all of the things that you just described there around imposter syndrome and things like that start to kick in, Andy, as well, don't they? About you're now not working for the brand and being part of a community. You are the community, right? So I suppose surrounding yourself with your tribe and getting to know yourself all over again is that journey that I'm on. So I suppose if I had to boil it down to one thing that I suppose is the most challenging right now is knowing when enough is enough. So where do you get your own reward when you're in your own space, rather than maybe through performance reviews or managers and things that you might get previously? Where do you find your own reward in order to feel you've achieved, you've got there, it's enough?
Okay. Thank you, Vicky. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else want to share some of their main challenges? I can see on the chat box here, managing energy levels. Yeah. And it's something which is really tricky, isn't it? Identifying your own energy levels and how they change over time as well. Thinking where the best points of the day are and your worst points of the day. Yeah, that's definitely something that I can resonate with. Anyone else want to share a key workplace challenge, or indeed, work-family balance challenge?
think what I come up against, what I kind of come up with a lot for myself and my clients, is that idea of trying to bring your best to family and trying to bring your best to the workplace, and sometimes the two feel like they're kind of mutually exclusive, and that challenge of trying to, how can you bring your best? You know, most of us are conscientious, we're high achieving, we want to do and bring our best, and how can we do that on both sides of that? And so that's, I think, a challenge that I find, and I think definitely in many of the clients that I work with as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Trying to bring everything to the table and always be our best, and it can be obviously draining, can't it, on our energy levels. I'm just looking at the chat box. So yeah, so thanks, Natalie, being able to switch off your work brain to focus on that family time in the evening. Yeah, that is hard. It's like, especially when we're working from home so much more, it's having that division, isn't it, between the two worlds of work and then home. Another one there is from Emily, managing work priorities and family priorities. Yeah. And Sarah, exactly what Andy has just said. I struggle with giving 100% to both and then switching between the two. Yeah.
And just a final one maybe from me that's cropped in. So I have ADHD and I was late diagnosed, so I don't necessarily need to get into the realms of the complexity of all of that. But I suppose showing up as your authentic self in the workplace and at home when you're on that transition is such an interesting dynamic. So I have neurodiverse children. That's how I found out I am who I am, and that's pretty common, right? But I suppose that complexity of that edge is also perhaps something to explore.
Absolutely. Thank you, Vicky. Okay, so I think we've got the ball rolling there. So, you know, I thought it was useful for, especially for you, Abigail, because you're about to sort of take over and do your session, just to start hearing about some of the key challenges that we've got to face today. So, yeah, let me hand over to you, Abigail, and really looking forward to some of your tips and techniques. Thank you.
Amazing. I am so excited now. Literally, when I hear people talk about what their challenges are, I get chills. And then I think, and this is my job. What a privilege. So let me share my screen. I've got a few slides and the chat box is there. I would love to know, and this is just me personally, where are you joining us from in the world? Where in the country are you? Are you joining from another country? I love that Chianti is from Maryland. And also you might just want to let us know what the weather is like, because if you're joining from the UK, like, we're obsessed with weather. And with that being said, I am going to share my screen. I'm going to minimize that. And I am going to start with setting the scene. So this session, we've got 20 minutes to talk about this. This is content that's usually delivered over 60 with lots of feedback and opportunities to share. So just bear that in mind. You will have the replay. You'll be able to come back to it. And I know that Helen is going to follow up with our details and everybody's. So this is the start of a conversation, the start of a relationship. For as much as you can, try and see if you can turn off the notifications and everything else and just focus on this conversation. Give yourself the gift and almost like suspend your disbelief as well, because there's content I'm going to share that you've probably heard before, but knowledge doesn't change lives, action changes lives. So it really, truly is my intention that you will hear something today and it will just be that time and it will be like, boom, okay. And then obviously at the end, there's Q&A and we can deep dive into any of the different things that you didn't have. So throughout it, just put in the chat any questions, anything that's coming up. And then finally, I don't expect you to agree with me on everything. I don't expect you to love it. So this is just a conversation, and the conversation today is around becoming a productive HR professional while protecting your well-being. I'm Abigail Barnes, and let me tell you, we are going to talk about maximizing your time using the 888 formula. We are going to talk about firefighting and 3 simple strategies for efficient time and resource allocation 24/7. And we're going to wrap it up with protecting the asset, becoming this HR professional. And spoiler alert, becoming is a journey. Becoming isn't one time we go to the gym and then we have a six-pack. We understand that whatever it is that we have as a goal in our life, it takes time, and it starts with a desire. This is what I want to do. And then the next step, I am committed to do it. I don't need to tell you this. This is the role that you are in your organizations anyway. So you have open growth mindsets, and I love that. I'm Abigail Barnes. I am the founder of Success by Design Training, an award-winning entrepreneur. I'm a productivity strategist working with individuals, professionals, entrepreneurs, organizations and teams on their productivity and their well-being. I'm an international speaker and also an author of this book you can see over my shoulder here, Time Management for Entrepreneurs and Professionals. And I have been running my business now for 10 years. Prior to that, I worked in investment management, asset management, and hedge funds for over 10 years in the marketing departments. So I was in that service area where when it went well, everyone was happy. When it didn't, it was always my fault. Here are some organizations that I've worked with over the years, some events that I have spoken at, and some of my clients. And I said that I worked in a corporate career and then started my own business. This was as a result of a near-death experience on a work business trip in 2012. This is the foundation that I base all of my training on. In those moments when I thought it was the end of my life experience, that this was it, that there was what was going to happen, it was then that I realized I hadn't been making the most of the time that I had. So all of my training is based on this foundation that it is your time. It is my time. It is our time. And how we invest it, what we do with it, is creating the life experience that we have 24/7. So maximizing your time and using the 8-8-8 formula. Let's start at the very beginning. We all get the same 24 hours. You must have heard other people talk about this, and I'm sure sometimes it feels like we don't and that other people have more time than us. But the reality is we do, but we don't all have the same beliefs about this time. We don't all have the same circumstances. We don't all have the same resources, and we don't all have the same experiences. How many times have you done something and then afterwards straight away gone, I'd have done this differently? Because it's that experience that helps us to. When we start from this place of, okay, it's 24 hours, do I have the life that I want? Yes or no? No. Okay, what can I do about it? And that's what this training is going to give you a taste of. Because when you change the way you look at your time, the time you have will change. We've all got these 24 hours, but we've all got different circumstances. We've all got different responsibilities. We've all got different things that we are moving through in life. We may have had a diagnosis recently. We may have had a promotion. Things may have changed in our work situation. They may have changed in our home situation. We may have moved house. We may have got married. We may have started a relationship, ended a relationship. So many things happen all the time. But the training and the conversation here is really, how can I regroup? How can I regroup? How can I regroup? So that even though we fundamentally are living in a snow globe and it gets shaken, how can we get that snow down so that we can see the clarity as quickly as possible and make a plan? And this is where I like to share the 8-8-8 formula. This is based on science and society. It is the simplest way to divide your 24-hour day. So science says that we need to sleep between 7 to 9 hours. So we call that 8. And we call that rest, because there are other activities you can do to recharge yourself. Society says we need to be working 8-hour days. So what is left is your life, which we call activities, because there are many activities that make up our lives. And if you imagine it like this, it's bookended. So we have to rest our body, we have to sleep, we have to recharge. Scientifically, there are so many reasons why. And I know that Chianti is an expert on sleep. So any sleep questions, Chianti is the person to ask. But things like creating a sleep routine, when is a good time to go to bed? How do you wake up in the morning so that you feel refreshed? What do you do if you're not getting enough sleep? Because there are reasons that you are out of your control. How can you recharge yourself? And that's why we call it rest. Scientifically, we can meditate, this recharges our energy. We can nap, so sleep when we can. And there's lots of different tools and techniques that we can do to recharge that part of us. And then obviously, time management and productivity. How can we be more efficient when it comes to work so that we have time for our activities? Because put a different way, 8A is 33.3% in the pie chart version of looking at it. And at this stage, I have to say, the formula is a starting point. The formula isn't a recommendation. The formula isn't, this is the perfect way. The formula is saying, with immovable things in our life experience, how can we work within those parameters? What can we hack? What can we change? What can we do something about? What is out of our control? And what can we start on the journey of changing? So this is just a super simple breakdown. So rest can break down into your main sleep, micro breaks, mindfulness, meditation, and restorative rest. Work then obviously is your job, and activities is everything else. So just to go into this activities, we call it the jam in the sandwich, but this activities is going to the shops to buy your food, cooking your food, eating your food, washing up after your food, buying your clothes, wearing your clothes, washing your clothes, starting a family, raising a family, starting a relationship, nurturing a relationship, ending a relationship. It's your hobbies, it's your leisure activities, it's maybe your caring responsibilities, because it might be that you have taken on a caring role for your parents. There are so many things that come under activities. It's your life admin, it's cleaning your home, it's emptying and loading the dishwasher, and most importantly, it's your commute. So your commute comes out of your life. It doesn't come out of your work hours. Here are some examples of what somebody's formula might look like currently. In a minute, I'm going to ask you what you think yours is. So start thinking in your head and put into the chat what your 3 numbers are. So how much time you are currently spending working, how much time you are spending catching up on your sleep, resting, how much time you have left for your activities. So we've got a 14-hour workday, a 12-hour workday, a 10-hour workday. And these, again, are just examples, but having worked with many clients, these are the common ones that come up. And this was the one that I had prior to my health wake-up call on that work business trip that I went on. I was working 14-hour days, 5 hours to rest, 5 hours for my life. But the reality was that 2 hours of that commute actually came out of my life. So I had a 3-hour life every day. And in that time, I had to eat, change my clothes, do my life admin, conduct myself in the world. So let's say I was on my way to a burnout, inevitably, had I not had the health incident that I had, which incidentally was a stroke at the age of 32 on this work business trip. And I just slept whenever I could. So I was always tired. I was always overworked. I was on my way to burnout. I had no life. And this was the reality of how I, at that time, was allocating my 24-hour day. So let us know in the chat what you think your current 24-hour allocation looks like. And this is what the training is all about, Because once you have got honest with yourself and said, this is where I am right now, and then you ask yourself the follow-up question, am I happy with that? Which is a yes or a no. And then you ask yourself the follow-up question from that, okay, what am I prepared to do about it? What can my next first step be to move away from feeling burnt out, feeling overwhelmed, feeling like I'm constantly juggling, feeling like I have no work-life balance? Because the work-life balance that each of us wants is so individual for each of us. It's going to look very, very different. And the other thing to say about the formula, whatever yours is, whatever your 3 numbers are, they are going to change throughout your life. They are going to change as your circumstances change, as your responsibilities change. It might be at certain times of the year you're busier with work because obviously, I don't know, your company could have bought another company, you might have taken on more staff, there might be a total restructure, a strategy change. So obviously you've got to allocate more time to that. But it's on the basis of always understanding that we are taking it from somewhere else. So it's a short-term strategy. It is not a long-term solution. So there will come times where, especially if you've started a new family and you have young children, sleep is going to be something that you may not necessarily have a lot of in those early days. And so it's understanding that this is where I am right now, so that you can then put in a plan for what could I do about it? How could I adapt it? So I can see that we have got some of you sharing your times, and I love that. So just keep putting it in, because what you actually acknowledge for yourself is your starting point for change. Awareness is the key to change. You may have heard people talk about this before. Self-awareness is really the superpower in the personal development world. The more self-aware you can become, the more easily you can change your life. Oh, I am skipping ahead. So to summarize, we get these 24 hours, which is 1,440 minutes every single day. It's hours. We can allocate it to what is a necessity and then to what is a desire or a want, or just maybe this is my life. This is my time. It's my time. I would like to have this. But always understanding when we say yes to one thing, we say no to another thing. Here are 3 simple strategies for efficient time management and resource allocation that we can talk about in this training today. As I've said, this is a super fast top level training. First of all, it is so important that we find out where our time is going on a daily basis. Let me know in the chat if you have ever done a time audit, if you have ever tracked your time to find out where it's going and what actually has it. I wrote this book a few years ago now, revised and updated it during the pandemic, and it is a 5-step process. Step number 1 is auditing your time. So the recommendation is to audit your time for 7 days, because what we don't measure, we can't change. Then we analyze that audit. We accept, as I'm saying, this is my current reality right now. I may or may not like it. So I'm going to make an agreement with myself that this is it, line in the sand. Things are going to change. And then we take the action steps. And what those action steps are is the result of the questions we ask. How can I do blah, blah, blah? What can help me with blah, blah, blah? But it all starts from, where is my time? Where is it going? Who has got it? What activities actually have it? And then once you know this, and it's things like, people have said, when I did the time audit, I recognized that, yes, I am very well educated. Yes, I have a very high powered job, but I actually scroll my phone more time than I would like to admit. I find myself on the YouTube watching a video, and an hour later, I've gone down a rabbit hole because they've suggested so many other things. And it's not that I'm not here to self-educate. It's just I didn't actually need to do all of that. But the time audit helped me to find it. I don't like that I found this out, but I am grateful that I now know, and that there are certain times of the day when I don't go onto YouTube. If I am going to watch a specific video, I am very boundaried about that is the only thing that I do. And that came from doing the time audit. Other people have done the time audit and recognized I'm juggling too many things. I'm taking on too many responsibilities that aren't actually mine. My boundaries need to be readjusted. I'm not that good at saying no. I need a bit of support or some strategies or tactics in how to actually say no without saying no, etc., etc., etc. Once you've done this analysis of yourself, you then have the data to be able to make the changes. Without the data, it's just a guess. And the sentence, I'm not very good at time management. Well, where's your time going? Well, I don't know. Well, then we can't change anything, can we? So here's a bitter pill to swallow, but your time management is a direct reflection of your self-worth. Because we all know somebody who is really good at managing their time, who has the life that we actually want. And what is it about them? They just own it. They just say no. They just manage the resources that they've got. And it's down to the self-worth. And there are so many reasons why we might not have the confidence. We might be struggling with imposter syndrome. And that's sort of the work of my two other esteemed peers who are on this training as well today, as well as Helen, another esteemed peer. So any questions around that come up, we can always dive into those in a minute as well. Because fundamentally, it's about the perspective. When we can shift our perspective, I don't know if you, like me, have a sight challenge, let's call it. My prescription is so strong that I wear contact lenses almost all of the day, apart from when I wear my glasses, which obviously the optician has recommended is more than I have done in the past. But when I put my contact lenses in or my glasses on, the perspective of the world changes so fundamentally. And that is a really, really simple way of reminding us that the situation that we are in right now, we may feel, because we're up against it, that there is no way around it. But when we get in the helicopter and we look down and we change our perspective, we could suddenly see, oh, okay, there could be another way around this. And that is the power of coaching, and that is the power of mentoring, and that is the power of sharing and being vulnerable and asking other people for support. But it all starts from the self-awareness of what is actually going on, because we can't change what we don't know. So once you've done your time audit and you know where all your time is going, you can then look at your to-do list in a totally different way. And perhaps you've come across the Eisenhower matrix before. It is the simplest way to prioritize and organize your to-do list based on activities that are important and urgent, and not important and not urgent. We can't start to organize that to-do list, which all of us have a work to-do list and a home life to-do list. We can't start to do that as efficiently as we could until we know where the time is going, who is demanding the time, perhaps within your organization, what departments need more of it at the moment than others, what aren't getting as much of it, what relationships are not getting as much of it. And it's not from the point of view of blame, it's from the point of view of the information gives us power. The information helps us to then make a case for more resource. The information then helps us to decide, actually, maybe I need to ask somebody for help. Maybe I need to get a cleaner. Maybe I need to delegate. Maybe I need to have a meeting with my team. Maybe I need to have a meeting with my family. The information gives us power. So again, Eisenhower matrix, don't really have time to go into it, but it helps us to identify what we need to do, what we need to decide about, what we need to delegate, and what fundamentally we could just delete. Because there's a lot of things on our to-do list, which probably aren't our roles or responsibilities, but just happen to be there because generally, and this is in my experience, people in the positions that we're in, have been in, with the experience and qualifications that we have, the skill sets that we have, we tend to be fixers, we tend to be doers, we tend to be problem solvers, solution finders. And so it inevitably ends up falling on our to-do list. So these 3 steps, once you know where your time is going, once you know what needs to get done, the priorities, then it's about really drilling into those priorities to that next level and identifying what tasks, what activities, what meetings, what people, what systems, what processes will move the needle. Because not everything is important. Then you are going into the next part, which is allocating those activities. So you are allocating them, and your time might be used up by stakeholders, by meetings, by events, by reporting, by tasks, by activities, by research, by planning, by projects. Notice emails is low in this list. That is deliberate. However, so many of us, our emails are almost our job, although they're not our job, but they've become our job because sometimes boundary setting processes, things like this, aren't clearly in place. And there is that expectation, well, I sent you an email 5 minutes ago. And is that an expectation within an organization, within a friendship, within a personal relationship? Well, I sent you a message on WhatsApp. Why have you not replied? Because I was juggling a million other things. Then you've got your roles and responsibilities, your team management, and your personal development. And this is at the bottom of the list. And this is on the back of that article that Helen was sharing at the start, where this research found out that the HR professionals who were surveyed were saying that their own personal development was something that got sidelined. And the irony is that they spend all day, every day, helping everybody in the organization to get the personal career development that they want. But the time just wasn't there for them. The time is there, but things just have to be rearranged. And then number 3 is really around multiplying your time. How can you multiply your time? So you've got an hour, but how can you be more productive with that hour? So we've talked about the Eisenhower matrix. We've then got delegation. People and suppliers that you work with can help you get time back. Systems can help you get time back. Processes can help you get time back. AI solutions can help you get time back. This training, we're really focusing on the time and the productivity within the workplace. Obviously, the others in this training here with us today can add that perspective from the home, how you can organize yourselves at home. My area of specialization is really around productivity within your work and holistically looking at how it can all fit together. And then I refer people off to the specialists in the areas that people need that support with. Because you are going from who you are being right now to who you are becoming. And it's really about making your move. And you make your move day by day by day by day by day by day. Remember I said at the beginning, we don't get the 6-pack, we don't get the Michelle Obama arms, we don't get the feeling of how we want to feel in our bodies, in our careers, in our relationships. We don't get that straight away. It is a step-by-step process. And then finally, to wrap up our conversation here, protecting the asset and becoming this productive HR professional. So I know when we asked you, a few of you were sort of sharing around boundaries of your challenges, how you can have time for your work and time for your home, and how you can switch off, and how you can almost bookend things. So this is really about recharging, reconnecting, and resetting, and protecting the asset is you. You are the asset. Your health, your well-being, your mental state, your time, how you feel is all going to influence all of the different stakeholders in the business and at home. Everybody who has a call on your time is responding to the energy that you have or don't have. So here is how we recommend that with the limited time that we have, we start to recharge ourselves with 8-minute activities. We call this energy on demand. So let me know in the comments if you meditate, if you go for a daily walk, if you have time to read books, if you have ever done a journaling exercise, if you have ever done a breathwork class, any of what would be termed as the well-being activities, let me know in the comments what you've done, because I love, love, love hearing what people have already tried. And so our recommendation is that 8 minutes is an accessible amount of time to allocate to yourselves, plus 8 minutes is enough scientifically to change your energetic state with a movement exercise, a mindset exercise, a mindfulness exercise, 8 minutes. I would love you to consider it like this. This is a well-being one-to-one meeting that you are having with yourself. And you can have them at the start of the day, the middle of the day, the end of the day. It can be 8 minutes long, it can be 16 minutes long, it can be 24 minutes long, however much time you have. And you can work up to longer chunks, but schedule these check-ins and recharge time into your diary. This is another thing the article was talking about, was that professionals who had actually started to schedule their own well-being into their diary started to feel better. So an 8-minute meditation first thing in the morning, that's what I personally do. And I speak to some of my peers who say 8 minutes isn't long enough. You should be doing at least 30. You should be doing at least an hour. First of all, I hate the word should. And second of all, how do they actually know? Because scientifically, our brain chemistry can start to change after 1 minute. So the 8 minutes is just giving ourselves some personal time. This morning, I read for 8 minutes. It was absolutely fantastic. I loved it. I wanted to continue. Didn't have the time. But I did an 8-minute meditation, 8 minutes of reading, and I feel like it really set me up for the day. And I personally feel like I gave myself something before the day started. Think about it like this. If you've ever done gardening, you plant a seed, you don't know what is going on underneath that soil for days, and then suddenly you get a result. And here's the story I'm going to leave you with. How long do you think it takes to grow a pineapple? How long? And I'm going to give you a little clue. It is longer than a year to grow a pineapple. I'm just looking to see if anybody has guessed. I'll tell you. It takes 18 months. So yes, Chianti, 2 years. It's about that, 18 months to grow one pineapple. That's the first pineapple on the pineapple plant. A pineapple plant grows one pineapple at a time. One plant, one pineapple. The second pineapple it grows, it takes 12 months. And that pineapple plant can, depending on circumstances, situations, countries, weather, all the things, can go on to produce one pineapple a year for 5 years. Next time you go into a shop and you see a pineapple for $1.99, $1.99, $2, whatever the price, think, that took a long time to grow. Because fundamentally, if you don't make time for your health, you will need to make time for your illness. And that's not to be dramatic, but that is to reiterate the point that we are in bodies that need to be recharged. We put our mobile phones onto charge every single night. Sometimes it doesn't need to be that because the technology has got better, so it could be every couple of days, but we always do it. Recharging ourselves becomes, oh, well, I don't have time for myself. Thank you so much for your time for this session. What are you taking away from it? What's one thing you are taking away from this session that has triggered a thought in your mind that you're going to give a go? Let us know in the chat. What questions have you got from this session, from this training? Perhaps it's that you're going to track your time for 7 days. Perhaps it's you're going to give an 8-minute activity a go. Perhaps within your organization, you actually provide your colleagues and yourself with access to one of the meditation apps, and you're going to use it. The number of people I speak to who have the Calm app, for example, and who don't use it. I have the Calm app and I pay for it. If I worked for an organization that gave it to me for free, I think I would be so excited by it. Remember, it's your time. There has never been a better time to start something today. If you've loved this conversation and you want to find out more about the things I talk about in bite-sized chunks from a time management point of view, I have a podcast called the Time Management Podcast. We are now putting out episode 41 or 42 this week, I can't remember. And excitingly, we're going to have Helen on the podcast coming up in the future. So if you point your phone at that QR code, it will automatically open it and you can enjoy those. So some episodes are 20 minutes long, some episodes are 45 minutes long. If it's a guest, they might be sharing their story for longer, but definitely check that out. We have listeners in 91 countries around the world. It's your time. It has been such a pleasure, such an honor to share this training with you. You can reach out to me on the LinkedIn and let me know what you took away from it. Any questions that you have, Helen is going to follow up with all our details if you feel like this training would be beneficial for your colleagues or teams. And also, please let me know what you took away from it. And before I hand it back to Helen, I just want to say I do get the most random email messages on the LinkedIn, which I love. People telling me I've booked a massage, I did a face mask, I've had a facial, I meditated for 8 minutes, I went for a walk, and I feel so much better. So I love getting messages. And that's it. That's me. Helen, back to you. We can't hear you.
There we go. Thank you. Thanks, Abigail. Really enjoyed that. And I was just looking at the chat and some of the comments coming through and some of the specific responses to some of the things that you're asking us. Obviously, it resonated with everyone as well. So, yeah, I'd just love to throw it maybe to, let's start with Kante or Andy. Any thoughts or reflections from anything that Abigail has talked about? Should we start with Kante?
Oh, sure. I definitely love it. And I definitely think that it's something that we work with my clients in regards to understanding the day. And it really starts with like your vision and what your vision are. If you have no vision, you can't really create a plan to meet that. And you always feel like you are flailing all over the place and don't really have any control of your day. But one of the key areas that Abigail talked about was sleep, and sleep is super important. And I know there's kind of 3 aspects that kind of hinder us from having great sleep, and they can be internal things, external things, and environment. So internal can be like one somebody said is not being able to turn your brain off. A lot of times you get into bed and you're thinking about the stuff you did during the day and stuff you got to do tomorrow, and just like making the wrong decisions and trying to problem solve and stuff like that. And so what I tend to tell my clients is to take an exercise of getting that all out of your head before going to bed, and doing like what we call is a brain dump, and kind of just writing out everything so that a lot of times you continue to process stuff because you don't want to forget it. So if you write it all down, get it all out, then you have a chance to kind of look at it the next day and prioritize it and plan it and schedule it and get those things work, and you can go to bed and be a lot better. Another thing is external. You may have a partner that snores, or your kid may come in and tap you, I had a bad dream, or they just, want to snuggle up to you and they're moving and hitting you and bumping you. And so those are kind of the things, like if you have a kid that is anxiety around going to sleep, just kind of staying the extra time with them and securing them and helping them understand that, it is scary because they're used to having someone with them all the time. And then when they go to sleep, they're by themselves and it's dark, and you have to get them accustomed and all that. So I can help my clients kind of work through some of those external situations. And then environment is the other one. If you're too hot, it's hard to go to sleep. A lot of times in our rooms, we have multiple things charging. So you have those red, green, and blue lights that are lighting up the room. And so those can affect a good quality sleep as well as screens in general. Watching screens affect your circadian rhythm. And then if you don't have that, you can't create the melatonin. So then your body never knows when to go to sleep. So there's just a couple of things that you want to keep your eye on when you're trying to figure out how to get the best sleep. Because if you only have, the 8 or the 7 or the 6 hours, you want to make sure that it's the quality of sleep that you can get so you can be recharged for your other activities and your other and working. So that was kind of my input to that.
Thanks, Keontae. Yeah, that's some really good tips because, protecting those 8 hours, if we are able to get those 8 hours, is massive, isn't it? Because otherwise we haven't got the energy and the well-being to then focus on the rest. So, yeah, massively important. Thanks, Keontae. Andy, let's come to you. What are your thoughts?
Hi, yeah, I'm aware of the time, so I'll just really briefly, thank you so much, Abigail. That was really wonderful. We were all got a huge amount out of that, and thank you, Keontae, for your thoughts as well. Yeah, obviously together here, many of you will be HR professionals, and we at P&P wanted to kind of put this together for you. So just thinking about what Abigail was saying, and from kind of linking it to the coaching, I loved what she said at the beginning about this is my job, what a privilege, and I have to say I share that thought as well, just that idea, that excitement of being able to support you guys in this, and especially this whole phrase around it's your time, just really bringing that emphasis around ownership, around responsibility, around intentionality. And that's really what I work with my clients a lot in our coaching sessions. It's about really handing back over that responsibility. And I love what Abigail said about we're all individual. No one's life looks the same. Yes, the 24 hours are the same, but what we have, our constraints and our circumstances are so different. And that's why, as a coach and with P&P, I love working with individuals to figure out what is your challenge within that and how can we help? How can we help you to reflect, help you to process, help you to plan? So much gold in there, gold around boundaries. Boundaries is something that I come up with time and time again in this topic, and ask my clients, what is the impact of those boundaries that you've created for yourself sticking, and what's the impact of them slipping? So those ideas that Abigail touched on, such valuable kind of areas to explore within coaching. Our values, our relationships, so much gold, Abigail, thank you. But yeah, I just want to say that in terms of just that intentionality, just that individual, what do I need? What do I want my life to look like? And, obviously Abigail has all her resources. I'm sure there's so much that we can get from there. And at P&P, we really want to help you as well in terms of that coaching, in terms of the products that we bring to help and equip you to bring your very best to both work and family. So thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks for your thoughts. And I think a question that obviously we had at the beginning around when we were sharing some of the people's main challenges around that struggle. And I know this is the case for many people, the struggle with feeling like you need to give 100% to both your work role and your family role. And it's hard to suddenly get rid of those feelings, isn't it? So this is a question for, I guess, anyone who wants to take this, but what would your tips be on how do we try to stop wanting to be this perfect 100% in our family lives and 100% perfect in our professional roles? Any thoughts, any of you?
Yeah, I can jump in here. I think something that I work with a lot with the clients is around defining what success looks like. And I'm sure, Abigail, you've and Keontae, you've come across the same, but that idea of what actually does a good mum look like to me, and really kind of helping to reflect and unpack and look at that. And equally, what does it mean to be doing well, to bring my best to my career, and actually just having the time to, I think, explore both of those and give yourself the grace as well to understand that you actually can't be in two places at once. You can't give kind of duplicate of yourself. And it's that understanding and that realization, that awareness that we only have, as Abigail's been mentioning, these precious 24 hours, but no one has any more than that. So it's really just kind of looking and exploring what are our expectations, and do they need adjusting in terms of what is realistic for us to bring and still have that healthy productivity.
Yeah, I agree definitely with that. And we also talk about in my practice imperfectly showing up, because a lot of times we have this mentality because we are the parent or because we are whoever figure or role model that we have to be perfect. But what is that really showing to like your kids or your family? Because once they grow up and they have their family, they're going to look back and say, well, my mom never had any problems. Why am I struggling? What's the difference here? And so we want them to understand that nobody is perfect. It's really just understanding and being intentional about what your desires are. So if you have your life planned out the way that you want, like if you do your time blocking or you do your scheduling, so you could say like this time frame is work, then you'll be able to focus on that time frame. But you also know that you have time planned to be with your child. So during that time with your child or with your family, you can be intentional and have your focus there because you know that you already took care of your work stuff at some other time. So it's really just, getting out of that guilt mindset and feeling like you have to be perfectly showing up and just showing up and making sure that you're intentional with your time.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks, Kente.
So good, Kente.
So in the interest of time, obviously we are coming up to the end now. We've only got the last 2 minutes. So what we wanted to do today is between us give you as many tips as we possibly could around taking a whistle-stop tour around some of the things that you can do for yourselves for your time management and for your work and family balance. Obviously, we've just scratched the surface. There's loads more. So I would encourage you to follow up with some of the things that everyone has mentioned today and also start to think about maybe taking that one thing away to do differently. I've also got just a follow-up slide as well, just to share with you. So let me just put that on slideshow, just so I can get that from the beginning. So just thinking about what you can do personally, what small change, thinking about personally, you've got loads of Abigail's resources that she shared, thinking about coaching sessions and the help that can give, that Kente and Andy has shared with us. And then also, obviously, because we are in that people profession, so we're always thinking about, well, how can we help other people once we've helped ourselves? So thinking about any of the things that we've talked about today, we've got Abigail's sessions around productive wellbeing, time management. We can run internally for you as well. We've also got the one-on-one work and family balance coaching sessions. And also on the back of this session as well, you will get a follow-up summer break checklist, because the reason why we're doing this in July, of course, is because we've got the summer holidays, kids around, caring responsibilities looming ahead. So we're going to follow up and everyone will get a checklist as well. So feel free to obviously use that for yourself and of course to share it. And then the final screen there, it's taking its time, is just all of our names, just in case you wanted to connect with us all on LinkedIn. And yeah, obviously, if you're interested in doing any of these things that we've talked about more for yourself and for other people within your organisation, just email me, helen@pmpcoaching.co.uk, and of course, look up all of our amazing experts who have helped us today. So it was lovely to have you all, and yeah, please stay in touch with us, and I'll formally end the session there. And yes, thank goodness it is dead on 1 o'clock, because on a session around time management it would be embarrassing if we went over. So I will let everyone go, but of course we will be here for a couple of minutes longer if you wanted to ask us any further questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Helen.
Thank you.